Did you know that families are cool now? I don't know if you know, but families are cool. And I'm seeing it in multiple ways across multiple touch points. And I'm interested in if you're seeing it too. So any of these cultural pulses are a cluster of signals that I've seen. There are enough that I think it's worth talking about. So let's talk about some of these examples. Sometimes I might skip back and forth so I can replay the TikToks again. Let's jump into Jay Guapo and his family, who was recently parodied by the Kardashian family. So the Kardashian family know that families are cool in their own particular way. They've been doing it for years. They've been building the compounding value of a family unit, of how many K names can you have and how much brand value can you build in every single vertical of those people. Kendall, Kylie, Kim, Chloe, Courtney, and Chris, of course. And so that's not new that the Kardashians are kind of big and in, but there was a big moment for Jay and his brother, known as Pink Cardigan, and his mum. And Jay Garpo has been he's a streamer, real Gen Z sort of cultural figure. And he makes TikToks all of the time. Recently with Central C, he's pushing up to the next level of the zeitgeist. Now that he got the Kim Kardashian moment, plucked out of obscurity, even though he's got like 1 million followers, but plucked out of the niche and then taken up to the next level of the profile in the zeitgeist. And now he's doing TikToks with Central C, which is another level of credibility again. But what I find interesting is that he has his mum. He features his mum. Here we go. So that's Jay on the left-hand side in the blue, Pink Cardigan, his brother, then his mum in front, right? His mum is in regular TikToks. It's cool to bring your mum into it. Wholesome, edgy is in. And then here we have the 3 Kardashians, 3 generations of Kardashians as well. Then moving over to the center here, it's a little bit small, I know, but Doechii. Doechii is now performing with her 2 sisters. She has now got her 2 sisters being her backup dancers. Talk about heritage and lineage and justice of, Black excellence being brought forward into the center of the zeitgeist and taking your family with you. How much deeper and more culturally connected could you be than collaborating, creating things with your own family? And your own family used to be uncool. It's not uncool now. It's becoming cool because we're going through a broader shift because of the increased austerity this is my take, the increased austerity in the economy is forcing us to become more practical, more utilitarian. People can't afford rents, so they're living with their families out of necessity, and all of these other sort of cultural shifts and economic shifts mean the cool factor, the resonance of what a family is becoming more apparent than ever. And then, yes, I'm going to bring in this example. Let's play it again. On the right-hand side, Nalu. I've referenced them over the last few weeks because they're really front of mind for us at the moment because we're literally launching their business right now. They're the ones who've been getting coverage in the Australian Financial Review, Rush Magazine. Incredible. Otis Carey, Sophie Willing, and that is a family-owned, it's a Gumbaynggirr and Bundjalung, so an Indigenous Australian, or an Indigenous company that is family-owned, and it's cross-cultural. Otis is both Gumbaynggirr and Bundjalung heritage. Sophie is from an Anglo-Saxon heritage. They're children together. They are producing beautiful textiles, beautiful artistry. It's about the cultures coming together. That one is a drone shot of the family from above on this giant sand art, shot from above with a Gurumul track over the top, and it cranked. The family-owned concept is really interesting to media and to the zeitgeist. Families are cool now. What do you think? Are you seeing the same thing? Maybe I'll pull up my comments. Maybe I can not get distracted by it. Okay. All right, families are cool. What else? Humor for survival. Now, this one's a little bit edgy. Take a moment. Take a moment. So, our friend Zohran Mamdani, who I, excuse me, who I featured in our Zeitgeist report a few weeks ago, he won the election. We've now got our first ever South Asian, Muslim, Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, one of the epicenter of capitalism in the world, has a Democratic Socialist. Are you kidding me? Socialism is pushing through into the zeitgeist. Are you seeing this too? Let me know if you're seeing little cultural signals. And again, remember, I talk about everything in a neutral way. Sometimes I get more excited about certain things because, yeah, I have certain taste. But we're talking here in a neutral manner about the fact that socialism entering into the zeitgeist with Gen Z and shifting away from some of the ism of, okay, is it Marx? Is it communism? No, that's what the sort of less aware people are trying to call it. Socialism is not communism, and socialism in its own right, ask Bernie Sanders, ask AOC, it has some beautiful ideas around it in terms of society, in terms of an economy working for society. I mean, that seems fairly obvious. Now, we've had this major shift in New York City. Mamdani is Muslim. Muslim is part of the Islamic faith. Now, I'm also seeing cultural signals. Besides this moment, I'm also seeing more broadly, but this is now pushing it forward. You have a clustering in terms of trends and cultural signals. I'm seeing Arabic vernacular enter into the colloquial lexicon of society. People saying inshallah, people saying Allah, people, I won't use too many terms because I'm not deep on using them correctly, but I'm seeing it become cool to use Arabic language for people who aren't of a South Asian or Middle Eastern background. Use these terms in a colloquial, jargonistic way, inshallah. Now, there's been this interesting moment because there was a certain amount of racism and, not particularly integrity-driven techniques used by Andrew Cuomo in his campaign. Once Zohran was elected, I saw a flurry of joking, humorous, TikTok specifically because it's an open algorithm, so it's much more immediate than an Instagram, for example. But I'm seeing like so much content of people making a joke about now living in Muslim New York City or socialist New York City. Like we've got this little dog here that was dressed up in a little scarf and then the caption reading Habibi on socialist train. That's ridiculous. That is funny in a very in-joke kind of way. You need to get it in order to get it, just like any sort of niche humor. But this isn't niche. This is widespread. This is a pushback. We've got another example of a woman talking about bagels and the use of the word inshallah in a more colloquial way. And then this other man, what was his one about? It was another joke. People are making these very edgy jokes about socialist, Muslim, New York being taken over by these apparent cultural and religious threats. And the joke is that New York is not taken over. The joke is New York is a melting pot of cultures. The joke is that New York is an inclusive place in its most essential form. New York has to be inclusive. It's made up of a fabric of multiple social and cultural and political and religious threads. So I found that very interesting, that humor as a survival tool, humor as a pushback tool against, say, fascism or oppression, to say, I'm actually not going to even be upset about what you're saying. I'm going to make a joke of it. So I'm going to leverage shame and embarrassment. I'm going to leverage the shift in the zeitgeist that says what you're saying is ridiculous. I'm going to make a joke about it. Inshallah. So I think that's very interesting. Are you seeing that? Is anyone else seeing this too? And would you comment on it? Again, some of the things I'm talking about are pretty like on the edge. Don't worry, I'm watching TikTok regularly every night for you to be on top of, where things are moving to. But I think this is beautiful. I think it's really cool. I think humor is good. I think inclusion is good. I think diversity is good. I think going into the depth and nuance of language and religions is a beautiful thing. Okay, next. Where are we? Okay. Now this one's a little bit different. This isn't, we're definitely there. This is both, oh, I've seen a shift this week, team. And why isn't this shifting further? Faster. Okay. This week, Tapestry Group, that own a large number of fashion retailers, signed a Tapestry Group. I think they own like, I used to work with them at QVB, Coach, and Mulberry, I believe, a fashion group, and Lululemon signed a deal, a 10-year recycled material deal. Finally, the supply chain is making a commitment, a 10-year commitment, to work with more regenerative and sustainable materials. we've all seen this coming. We've all been waiting for it to move through that tipping point, the Malcolm Gladwell tipping point, where we have large scale change. And then we've got another headline here from the New Yorker saying the climate crisis is rapidly worsening. Why aren't governments more alarmed? Great question. And I think we all know there's complexity, and this is why we need to talk about coolnomics, because the economy is at the heart. The meeting point between society and the economy is at the very heart of what matters to people and what matters to the planet. And the only way we're going to save the planet, the thesis of the coolnomics PhD, when it was going to be a PhD, was quantifying the economic value of cultural cool and utilizing it for social and environmental good. Because I had a hunch that if we want to save the world, and we want to do it both on a social level and on an environmental level, if we want to make the world better, we have to understand the power of cool. We have to understand about how to make it cool to save the planet, how to make it cool to have sustainable supply chains, how to make it undeniable, unmistakable, create momentum that the economy has to change because society said, you need to change. We see it with boycotts, we see it with major brands. When society gathers pace and it hits the moment in the economy, that's when things change fundamentally, materially. So I was really excited to see Lululemon and Tapestry Group go through this change this week. I thought, finally, we have a material change, a supply level change, an industrial level change. Because once you change the systems, it's hard to go back. Why would you not keep moving forward if the economics say yes to what society is saying it wants? But my question is, why is it taking so long? And I'm sure you would ask the same. Sorry, not why. We know why. My question is, how do we speed it up? My question is, how do we get the pace of society and the pace of the economy to move at pace with the environmental change? That is the question. And it's not one answer. And I can, Coolnomics tells us how we can change this. That's a big long-term idea. And maybe we can unpack that specifically one night if you would like me to, in terms of how I think Coolnomics could save the environment. But the first starting point, I know, is to start talking about it more directly, with specificity, with challenge and a neutral mind. I studied philosophy, and I'm so glad. When I say that, I mean I did a weekly class for 2 years, right? I didn't go to university for philosophy. I studied practical philosophy, and I would recommend it to anybody. Go to the Sydney School of Practical Philosophy. It taught me how to think. It taught me how to reason. It taught me to hold a neutral mind and to observe the data in front of me, to observe the landscape, and to be able to ask questions and to hold simultaneous truths. We want fun, silly, ridiculous, frivolous things. And we need to take the environment seriously and consider our spending and be more mindful. It's not one or the other, it's both. Human beings want to have fun and can't be being puritanical about environmental change doesn't work. As we know, we've already tried the moral card, the ethics card, it doesn't stick. Otherwise, Bernie Sanders would probably be the president. Ethics doesn't work. Ethics is part of it, but it also has to be sexy, desirable, aspirational. I want to be associated with that. Stop me from saving the environment would be the only way that we can get it there. Okay, any thoughts or feelings? That's my rant at you on that point. But yeah, we need things to change. We've got to save our environment, sort it out. Not just save it, optimize it. We are citizens, we are business owners, we are creatives, we are culture leaders, we are government leaders. It's us. We're the leaders now. That's it.